Who is a successful project manager? My name is Guilherme and I'm a project management specialist. I help professionals to become successful project managers. What does it mean in reality? Well, for example, different I can of course help people in different ways, from helping to prepare a good CV to make sure that they increase their chance to be invited for an interview, then for a project management interview, of course, then preparing them for the interview itself so they can get a job. But I also might help them to get up to speed in their work. Why? Having a good onboarding plan, having a checklist to show critical items that you need to understand and start a project, or I can help them to put a structure. Like recently, I had a discussion with someone that was responsible for a project, and he was telling me about the challenge that they were facing, thinking that was a remote work project. There was someone working in Belgium and also people working in France, and he was thinking that the challenge might be the remote work. And after we start to discuss and start to drill down, we find out that actually that was not the main challenge that he had there. The main challenge that he was facing is a bit the lack of governance and the structure to follow, also to make sure that the project is progressing or following as they want or as then expected. This is one of the ways where I help project managers to be successful. So I help them to gain clarity in the situation they are right now, also to define actions to achieve what they want for the future. So this is one of the things I do to help people. This was a very long. This is a content here, part of the project warm up for the Project Management Summit. Project Management Summit, it's a free event I make. Then I'm going to make 4 classes there talking about how to further develop your project management skills and how you can further progress in your project management career. Again, it's a free event. The only thing that you need to do here, subscribe in the link here in the description. Suggest that you join the WhatsApp group to make sure that you don't miss anything, but also make sure that you answer the survey. The survey helps me to understand your challenges, helps me to create content and better prepare for the project management summit to make sure I can better add value for you. And of course, before I forget today, make sure you like here this video. That helps this video to get to more people so they understand who is a successful project manager, but also helps me to see the value in what I'm doing here. So this is very important. And also, you can feel free to share it. So let's talk about this. Might be a more philosophical discussion, but it's a very important one to have because I'm always saying that I help people to be successful. So then I would like to make sure that it's clear what is success. The first thing, of course, we can have a big philosophical discussion on what success. I like very much of the definition of Earl Nightingale that he says the people that succeeds is the person that is working progressively or realizing a word ideal. And what's a word ideal? The word ideal will change for every type of person. For example, a word ideal for uh, a person that wants to work, for example, to be a farmer, and this person is being working as a farmer, then he's a successful person. He or she is a successful person. Why? Because he is working progressively to achieve and to improve in what he wants to do. For example, for a staying-home mom that wants to stay home to take care of their children, she's a successful person. Why? Because that's what she wants to do. So the success definition is very personal. You need to understand what's important for you to achieve and making sure that, of course, you're progressively working towards a word ideal or you're progressively working to realize your goals there. That's the definition of success. So you have an ideal, you have a goal, and you're progressively working to achieve it. Notice that the word here, progressively, it's very important because you should have a goal, you should have this word ideal, but you should not be miserable in that progress. Why I'm saying that? Because a lot of people they ask when you talk about project management, a lot of people they focus on the money part, how much money you can get as a project manager, and they forget that they need to enjoy this type of work. Otherwise, you're going to be miserable, and no money in the world will going to pay these off. So that's the first understanding that I would like to make sure that you have here. So what I'm going to share with you here is a bit my definition in what is a successful project manager. And you are going to find maybe people that disagree with me, people that have their own definition. And again, that's completely fine because that's something very personal. But why I created this definition here? Because for me it's important, of course, to understand that I'm progressively working to achieve my work ideal, but also to make sure that I don't fall in other people's definition, which is not going to make me happy. In other words, what does that mean? Well, I've worked with people in the past that I've seen them working basically almost 7 days a week. They would work every day. They would make 10, 11 hours a day. They always were prioritizing work over their family, over their friends, over everything else, which for them was okay. But for me, that was not okay. And even though when I saw those things, I was still single without kids, for me, that was never a good point because although I do like what I do, I do enjoy my job, the challenges I face, and everything else. Not saying that everything makes me happy. There's always something that pushes you to grow, which is also a good thing. But I don't want just to work 12 hours a day and don't do anything else with my life. I want to have a family, I want to travel, I want to enjoy, I want to go I have time to go to restaurants, have meaningful relationship, and this is important for me. And again, I'm not telling you that you should have the same definition as I. What I'm telling you that's important that you create your own definition. And of course, I want to share mine here because I can give you an idea from my perspective. And of course, then you can make your own mind. This is a very important an exercise because if you do not have any goals and if you do not understand even what success for you, then it's of course very difficult to achieve something that you don't know. And that gets a big chance that you're going to fall in someone's definition that might not make you happy in the journey. And when I'm talking here, when I'm talking about happiness in the journey, it's not like that you're not going to have challenges, that you're not going to face risks, that sometimes you don't have up and downs, but it's in average, in general, you enjoy what you're doing. It cannot be that you're going to be miserable all the time and suddenly you there has a peak, then you say, "No, I'm happy, I'm successful." Why? Because those things they are not going to last. Then it's much important that you think about the journey, how you get there, how you progressively is working to realize your work ideal, then having this view for the future and thinking that you're only going to be happy there. So this is very important. So without talking much more, let me show you and explain what's my definition of a successful project manager. Well, I have basically 6 points to present to you. The first one that, in my perspective, needs to be that's very important. It's acknowledge excellence. And what do I mean by that? Like that you're recognized by your peers, by your manager, and by your company that you are making, that you have consistent results, then you are delivering value for the organization, for the project team, and for the project. And why do I say that? Because a lot of times, first, your self image can be different, or let me rephrase this, putting a different way. Sometimes your self image is different from what people perceive you. And there's no right or wrong, that's just different perspective. That's how we work, that's normal thing. But it's very important here because I've seen that happening. People thinking they're high, very high of themselves, and again, nothing wrong with that. And but if you think that I'm the best person, I'm delivering great results, and no one else see the results that you are delivering, something is wrong because those perspectives they always going to be different. Of course, hopefully you also have a self-value that's always higher than people perceive it. And then you find ways to make sure that you're always increasing the value how people perceive you. But it cannot be that you think that you are the best one and everyone else thinks that you suck. So that's normal to have a gap, but you cannot have this gap that in some perspective you're going to put yourself as the best one, and the other organization will always rate you as one of their worst project managers. So you need to find this common ground, and that's what's acknowledge excellence is about. Because of course, if the organization perceives the value that you're delivering, that your project team perceives the reality of that, you can show in your project what you are doing as good things that you're delivering value. So yes, then you tick this box. But it's very important here, and that's why when I talk about acknowledge excellence there, that's also why it's feedback. It's always important there, because usually feedback helps you to close those blind spots. That if you get feedback from your team members, from your peers, from your manager, you are going to avoid this pitfall that you are going to be in your mind you are the best one, but then there's always the reality around you, how people are perceiving you. The second point that's also helps you to put in check how you're doing as a project manager is the type of project that you're managing. And why I'm saying that? Because unfortunately, the feedback process sometimes does not go well, meaning that the organization or the manager will not give proper feedback to the person, then it does not help you to identify your blind spots, but then you are never going to get a chance to do something else, to grow and so on. So I come up with this idea how you can see if the kind of feedback that you have it's also positive, and how you can trust that that's truthful is for the type of if the type of profile of project that you get. And of course, I understand that not all companies that will be easy to identify that. But if you're working a company that's a bit more mature with project management, you are going to have different projects with different level of maturities, different types of risks. And usually those high profile projects that are risky, that are challenging, the organization wants to assign their best project managers there to make sure that you can get the most value of that, or at least that you can mitigate the risks. So if the organization is providing feedback that you're good, but in the range of projects that you have there, you only get the simple project as possible. That's a sign that probably you're not getting the best feedback on the organization. Again, not seeing that you're doing something wrong, but also the organization is not helping you to grow, which is a pity, because that's one of the ideas of the feedback, right? You have some blind spots, you have things that you can improve, and if you get good feedback, you also can develop yourself. If you get only bad feedback, that's difficult for you to work on. And this is a kind of reality check that you can make. Say, hey, the organization gives me high profile projects, so yes, if I get positive feedback, that means that I also trust me, because in most of cases, not saying go most of cases, but let's put at least hopefully the organization, they're not going to give you a project that they are sure that you cannot handle it. I've seen happen in the past that usually those things end bad. So I hope that's not the case. That's about also the leadership in the organization, but again, this gives you an idea. The third one, it's of course compensation. And here I'm not saying that you should earn as much money as the CEO, that you should be a billionaire or anything like that. But for sure, you need to be well compensated. And what's a good compensation there? Well, if you compare with the market, you're going to see, okay, what's the range that a project management is making here in my country in this type of industry, and where I am in this range. And why I'm saying that? Because I've seen very good project managers that they were working for a company for a long time, more than 10 years. They were very capable. The company was basically hold on their promotion. saying that's always find a reason. And of course, with his promotions, the company was always holding on his salary. So that's not a fair compensation. If the marketing, for example, is paying for someone with your skills, with your experience, 100K and you are making 50K, that's not a fair compensation. If the market is paying 100 and at least you are getting paid 100, you can say, okay, that's at least fair. Of course, if you say the market is paying 100, the company is paying me 110, so I'm a bit above average, much even better. But at least you should be compensated fairly. You should not be in the low part of the curve. If you take the normal distribution here, you should not be in the tail with the lowest payment. You should be in the middle or above average there. That's what's a fair compensation here. And of course, it's important that you understand in your own country. Why? Because compensation, if I'm talking only on Europe here, compensation for a project manager, for example, in Portugal, Spain, Germany, the Netherlands, Belgium, the Nordic countries, the average salary is always different. Even though in a lot of those countries, if you look for just the European countries, excluding the Nordics, it's everything everyone gets paid in euros, but the cost per country, the cost of living per country, the taxes and everything else is different. So, and of course, the compensation, it will change a lot. So it does not make any point if you're a project manager, for example, in Portugal, comparing a salary with a project manager in the Netherlands, unless you want to make the move to the Netherlands. But if you say, project manager in the Netherlands is making, with my experience, at least 50K, and here in Portugal I'm making 30K, that's not fair. No, it needs to be, you need to compare apples to apples, as people like to say, right? The fourth one, that's for me, it's very important. And if you end up not having the fourth one, you're going to be much more, you are going to have a lot of challenges to have the number one and number two. That's the growth mindset. I'll talk about a lot about growth mindset in all the content that I created, about also in my development programs, in my mentoring, because your mindset is going to define what you're going to achieve. So it's very important that you work on your mindset, actively work on your mindset. There are exercises that you can do for that. There's knowledge and there are studies that you can do to help to improve your mindset. And then, of course, if you are interested in that, I'm going to also to share more content about that during the Project Management Summit. But here's the basic that I want to share to you, that the growth mindset implies that also you're always going to look for how to improve it. Because a lot of those things and a lot of those skills that you are going to need to develop to be a successful project manager, as the ones that you can see here in the iceberg analogy, they are going to go deep there. It's not like you need to learn agile, or you need to learn waterfall. And why I'm saying that, because I've talked with a lot of people, and very usually you see people from IT, they know only Scrum, and they say, the rest, it's useless for me. But they do not realize that by learning the rest, even though some of those stuff they're not going to use on Scrum, that helps them to build or to create a more complete system thinking. It helps to give them additional tools to see the value in different organizations, to adapt in case they need it, and expanding your reality, expanding your horizons there, expanding your mind, it's always a positive thing. So even though if sometimes say I am not going to use this right now, you might find something there that might be useful for you in a couple of years, 3 years, 4 years, or so on. And it goes exactly the same way for people, for example, working into construction. They say, Scrum is useless. For construction, we only use waterfall. It's true, you only use waterfall, but if you can learn a bit of agile, if it's Scrum, to open your mind, that also will help you to see things in a different way, and will help you to find better ways to solve problems, better ways to communicate with your team, better ways to be a better team leader, better ways to be a better team member. So waterfall and agile, they should not be exclusive or you decide for one or for other. But if you want to be successful, it's important that you understand both. And of course, waterfall and agile, they are just the tip of the iceberg. That's why when I talk about growth mindset, you're going to see a lot of stuff because people say, I have a PMP, I have a professional Scrum Master certification, a product owner certification. What to do next? I already know everything. Well, there's a world of knowledge that you can learn. Problem solving, communication, Lean Six Sigma, finance, leadership, and a lot of different types of skills that you can develop that will help you to better execute this project, will help you to be a better professional, to help you to better execute your project. So the growth mindset there is a very important part in everything that you do, because whether you believe that you think or you believe that you whether you believe that you can or you believe you cannot, it's true. So working your mindset, it's very important for everything that you need to do here moving forward. And of course, if you don't have this growth mindset, usually the acknowledge excellence there, it might be there at some point, but the years will pass by and then you're going to be left behind. And also the growth mindset, it's about of people saying, I've been doing that for 20 years, I've been doing that for 30 years, and it has always been working. Yeah, I don't know if you are ever noticed, but the world has been changing a lot. 20 years ago, no one would have an iPhone. No one would have a good smartphone that we use the way we use today. Artificial intelligence and everything else. So it's important that with the growth mindset, more years of experience you have, that means that you always continue to develop yourself. You seek feedback, you continuously engage in learning, self improvement, and so on. This is a very key point. Nothing will work for at least in the long term if you don't have this growth mindset. Because again, everything starts with your mindset. So it's very important there. Another point, then for those ones you can find commonly for a lot of people. The other item that I decide to include in my definition, because I already mentioned in the beginning, that's quite, I've seen it in a very different ways. It's work-life balance. For me, being successful does not mean that you're going to work more and more and more and more, working extra hours like crazy, trying to always do more. It means that you need to find ways to be more effective. Why? Because you also want to have a life. For me, right now, it's very important. I'm married, I have kids. I want to spend time with my family. I want to travel with them. I want to create nice memories with them. And if I have to work 12 hours a day, 7 days per week, that's not going to be possible. And I want my kids to have a parent there. So for me, the work-life balance, it's very important. And I understand that for some people are not. I can tell you, for example, years ago, before again, even I was married, I've been told by a superintendent, he was like the manager of my manager. He told me a story that once his child was born, he was working, he was traveling to work, and he just get back after 1 week. And he was telling me that very proudly, say, see how commitment I am with the company, with the work. I was traveling and my child was born and I was not there and I was only coming back 1 week later because I had work to do. And when I hear that, even though at the time I didn't have kids, I was thinking, you are a fucking idiot. Why? Because you're going to work, if everything go well, depending on the country where you are, you're going to work for maybe at least 40 years, maybe 50, depending how the retirement aging goes and depending what you want to do with your life. And if you have maybe one, two, three children in your life, the the time they're going to be born is like once in a lifetime chance that you're going to get, and you miss it because of work. Then when when I heard that at the time, I say, I'm not going to do that. For me, this is a key aspect of my life, and I want to have this work-life balance. for everything I mentioned. My family, my children, my wife, they are one of my biggest whys. They are one of my biggest motivators to improve, to wanting to learn because I want to be a good example and everything else. But being a good example is also not sacrificing everything for work, sacrificing your health, your relationships, your family, everything for work. So people are different. That's the beauty of living a free world. You are free to take your own choices. You can do whatever you want with your own choices. I'm telling you here that for me this is important. Then for me this is non-negotiable. Because if a company tells me that to be an excellent worker, I need to work 12 days, 12 hours a day, 5 or 6 days a week, I'm saying, okay, so this is not the company for me. This is not the type of business that I want to operate. I want to deliver value. I want to be more efficient, more effective in what I'm doing there. I don't want to just work 10 hours because I need to work 10 hours. Because I've seen people doing that, saying, I'm going to show how commitment I am just by staying longer at work. Yeah, but if you're not delivering anything, you're just wasting your time there. And of course, you're going to find all types of managers. I'm not even call them leaders. Thinking that's a good thing. Say, oh, this person stay in the office 11 hours. Yeah, but I produce it in 3 hours what this person produced it in 11. So be it. People are different. The world is different. Feel free to make your choice. I'm telling you here what's important for me. And in my perspective, what's important to be a successful project manager. But again, keep in mind that you need to define your work ideal. You need to have your success definition there, and then you progressively work to achieve that. You progressively work to realize that vision. And the last one that I also like it, and that's also important for me, to explain that I need to give you some background. If you don't know, if you still don't know it, I'm Brazilian and I'm living in Europe. I'm living in the Netherlands at the point I'm recording this video here. And to live in this, to live here, I need to have a sponsorship. I need to have a company sponsor me, and that's part, of course, how I end up developing the skills, growing and developing my own framework, my own methodology, if you call it, to be a successful project manager. That's why I developed my program, my mentorship, and so on. But this is important for me because if I need a company to sponsor my visa, I need to have good market recognition. Meaning that, what's a market recognition? Meaning that companies will see my profile, my experience, and my qualification. Then they think, okay, this is a good professional, and I would like to have this person working for us or working for me. And so that's what market recognition, because it comes from, again, from outside, so also helps you to understand your blind spots and helps you to help you work in your development, and also gives me option, because if I'm working right now for some reason I stop to be happy where I am today, I can find other companies that are interested in hiring me. And of course that's important because that helps me with my sponsorship and helps me to stay in Europe. And I know that are people wondering there that, oh, but how are you going to know something like that? Is that possible? How do you know if companies recognize you or not? Well, I can tell you a very simple way that at least you can measure, kind of measure the temperature. The temperature, of course, is between brackets because that's not a temperature measurement, but it's a kind of indicator or key performance indicator that helps me to understand how I am positioned in the market. And this is a very straightforward. And what I'm showing to you here is some of the LinkedIn direct invites I get. All those things here, and of course, I'm not showing you all. I'm showing you just showing few. That helps me to get a feeling where I am in the market. So those are headhunters, HR people, or whatever you want to call them. Uh, that they are looking for specific type of skills, and they contact me for an interview process. And I have to tell you that I think for all of them, I just said I thank them and say, no, I'm not looking for anything at the moment. But it's also always nice to understand that you have an attractive profile, that you have good skills that market needs. Of course, more I keep developing, more I can keep this coming. But so you see invites for from EMEA positions, program manager, project manager, and I believe all of them they are. There's one mentioning here, Germany, but most of them are for positions in the Netherlands, and that gives me a feeling. Okay, what those people are asking, what kind of skills they are looking for. They all usually share with me job descriptions. That which helps me also to guide me. Okay, where I am in the market. Sometimes they share also seller information. How much this company is willing to pay for. Oh, that helps me to the market recognition, but also helps me with the compensation to see, okay, I'm being paid fairly or not, and also the type of project that companies offer me. It also shows me how they kind of see my profile, because sometimes you get projects that are challenging. Maybe it's a high profile project, and those are the ones that you get it. And you might say nothing is going to be perfect. I can tell you that some weeks I get, I don't know, 3, 4, even 5 invites. Sometimes it's 1 month I get one invite, but this usually happens with frequency. So if I look for the dates here, I can find stuff from even the latest. This one is like November 2022, but I have also one from December 2023. So very often I get those invites, maybe once a week, maybe once a month. Some weeks are busy, some other weeks not. And I take them, I look at them. I'm not saying I'm going to, again, I does not mean that I'm going to start an interviewing process, but it's also important to see my value in the market, because if you don't get any invites, never at all, considering the project management positions, the project management market is quite hot at the moment, there's very likely that you need to adjust something in your profile. And if you adjust something in your profile, you can end up with a better compensation, but also you can end up getting more recognition. So this is a very interesting way to have an idea where you are there. How desirable is your profile based on what you have been doing, your experience, your qualifications, certifications, and everything else. So this is my definition of successful project managers, and that's my goal here. Of course, help to people see this definition, understand this definition, come up with their own. Because some people might say that work-life balance, for example, is not important. For some people, say, okay, your definition kind of matches mine. Then we can work together, and I can support you to develop. As I mentioned, maybe starting your career, preparing a CV, preparing for an interview, helping you to structure a project, help you to structure your organization with the right KPIs, help you to build the right culture in your organization, and so on. That's my goal here, and that's what I'm doing here. Again, don't forget to like this content here, because that helps this idea of a successful project manager to reach more people. YouTube and Instagram can distribute this video for more people if you like it. Don't forget to share this, because then also, if you think there's someone that really needs to understand what's a successful project manager, you can share with them. And also make sure you follow me. Every week I'm releasing more content, some content talking about what's a successful project manager, but also from technical content talking about business cases, MS project, and the entire project management world. That it's very broad and very interesting there. And also, don't forget, this is part of the warm up for the Project Management Summit. It's a free event, 4 classes, a lot of content, exercises, and a lot of support that I'm going to give you during 1 week to help you to progress your career there. The only thing, everything is free again. You just need to subscribe. Don't forget to join the WhatsApp group, so make sure that you don't miss anything. But also, don't forget to don't forget to answer the survey. And if you agree here with my definition in what's a successful project manager, comment in the video here, because also that helps me to understand that my communication there is delivered properly, that my message is well received there. So comment in the video here saying, I agree with this definition, or share your own definition so I can also know that. I hope to see you soon. Thank you. Bye.